I never thought I would really do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I feel like doing it. This is like my third time trying to do this, so sorry if I don't sound too motivated. I learned that if I'm planning on doing something a little longer and more in depth like this, I should probably like have like some notes or something, cause every time I try doing something like this off the dome, it just be going on too long. But this is probably gonna be a longer video. I mean it's probably gonna be at least an hour. I don't know. Let's just see what happens. But anyways, you know what I'm saying, thanks for clicking, thanks for watching. So I guess here we go. Let's get it started. But actually, before I get started, I do gotta say though, couple things to keep in mind. Obviously, tier lists don't really mean anything. It's just opinions. There's way too many variables and too many scenarios for killers to like actually be accurately compared to one another. It depends on the survivors, it depends on the map, it depends on add-ons, it depends on so much. So this is just my opinion. I only have 11 killers on this tier list because I decided to only rank and talk about the killers that I feel comfortable talking about, that I feel like I know enough about them to make a correct assessment. So that's why I only have 11 killers. If you agree or disagree, or if you want to add something or say something, whatever, let me know in the comments. Also, this is mostly, when I say mostly, I'm talking about like most grand majority, like 90%, focusing on base kit. And then I also will take into consideration lower rarity add-ons like browns and yellows, maybe like some greens here and there, but I'm not taking into consideration purples or pinks, because they just change way too much. And I play 90% of my games pretty much, or most of my games, base kit anyways. But I will take into consideration low rarity, browns and yellows and greens, some greens, because that goes on to my next point. This tier list, this ranking, is assuming that the killer is playing against 4 good survivors, 4 strong survivors, meaning they know what they have to do, they know how to counter you, like they know how to counter the killer, they are smart, they know how to loop, they just overall, maybe not top percent, but like I'm talking about like 4 above average players, perhaps even on comms. And then last but not least, obviously I said that this is obviously opinionated. Every single human has bias. I try to stay as objective and logical as possible. And then last thing is, this is considering just most maps. So for example, like most maps have like 4 or 5 strong, like very strong tiles, such as jungle gyms, shack, cow tree, etc. And like god palettes and all that stuff. So maps, I'm just talking about just overall, you know what I mean? And a lot of the times, maps is, that's the difference between one killer being better than another, you know what I mean? The difference between Myers being better than Demo is the map. The difference between Nurse and Spirit is like So yeah, so this is just in general. A lot of these, if not all of these killers, can be interchanged with one another, especially when you consider the map. You know what I mean? Okay, so that being out of the way, I guess we could go ahead and get started. Number one best killer in DVD. Oh yeah, and then last but not least, most importantly, actually, I'm also ranking these not only versus 4 above average strong survivors. I'm ranking these killers on potential. So assuming that you play them perfectly, which is obviously impossible, but for sake of consistency, that's what I'm doing. I'm not taking, like mistakes and how difficult the killer is into consideration. Simply talking about potential, best of the best. So number one, Nurse. Not gonna go too into detail about this one, about Nurse, because Nurse's spirit are always or usually top 2. I'd say like 9 out of 10 times, but they are undisputably the top 3. In the top 3, Nurse and Spirit. The only reason I have well, not the only reason, but why do I have Nurse over Spirit? Well, she could just teleport through everything in the game. No other killer can do that. Spirit still has to worry about pallets. Spirit still has to worry about windows. Spirit cannot slug and snowball as good as Nurse. Spirit cannot use her powerful mobility without getting hurt as much as Nurse. Yeah, dude, Nurse is just the best, in my opinion. I'm not gonna go too into detail with it. She can just teleport through everything, basically. So, not much to say there. Next, I got Spirit. No surprise. No surprise here so far. However, there is more to talk about with Spirit. What a controversial killer. Why is she so controversial? Not ironically, the same reason she's so good. Spirit's Spirit's strength is her chase, okay? Spirit by no means is an overpowered killer. Even if played perfectly, not overpowered. Unlike Nurse, a Nurse playing perfectly is, arguably, OP or whatever, especially with add-ons and whatnot. But Spirit, by no means I would say she's overpowered, even played to the best of someone's ability. But her strength is her chase. By the way, sorry if the audio is kind of trash. Hopefully it sounds okay. But Spirit's power, her chase, is just so insanely strong. It doesn't really allow for any reasonable, let me not say reasonable, because I guess that's, depends who you ask. But her chase has very, very small amount of counterplay compared to other killers. Her power is the phase. She can phase moving at where she stands still, and then she becomes invisible and can move at like 170% movement speed or something for like 5 seconds. She can cover like 35 meters with her phase. Very, very powerful. But that's not exactly what makes it powerful. What makes it powerful is that the survivor has no fucking idea what's going on. So basically, regardless of whether the survivor has 1 hour or 10,000 hours, the killer can literally stand still. You can put your controller down. You can take your hands off the keyboard and mouse. The survivor will not know at least like 99% of the time, they will not know whether the spirit is actually phasing or not. So yeah, so the killer can literally just stand still and have the survivor like vault right into them or get close enough so that the spirit can just get a normal M1 hit. Very, very powerful stuff. As with Nurse, a spirit, you know, when it comes to chase, the power is in the hands of the killer basically entirely. If you last, you know, Nurse doesn't have to worry about pallets, but if you last a decent amount of time versus spirit, she's either messing up or you're just using a shitload of pallets and playing super safe. So also, you know, she doesn't really, you know, have anything else other than her chase. She sort of has some mobility because she can use her phase to get from one point to the other, but then she's weakening her chase, which is all she has, because she won't be able to get it back for a while. But yeah, she doesn't really have like map pressure, game delay, or nothing like that. She's just so fucking good at chase, and that's why she's really controversial, because chase is the basically the only fun part of, or the most fun part of playing Survivor by like a mile, most people would agree, and the most skillful part as well. So Spirit kind of takes that away from the survivors, you know. So yeah, and she can use any perks. She's very well, I wanted to say a word, but I forgot what word I want to say. But she's very she can use any build, really, any kind of perks. You guys know what word I was trying to say, where you could just use a lot of different stuff, a lot of different kinds of perks. So she can use information, she can use lethality, like instant down perks, she can use regression perks. The world is yours with Spirit, quite literally. A good spirit, or you know, a good spirit, very good spirit with Strider, with strong perks, and especially with add-ons, very, very, very powerful stuff. So yeah, so that's it for Spirit. I think I'll keep it at that. Oh, real quick, also passive phasing. A lot of people don't like mentioning this, or never mention it for some reason. It wouldn't really be a big deal if it wasn't the like the second strongest. If it wasn't on the killer with the second strongest chase ability in the game. Passive phasing, basically, it's when the spirit's just moving around every couple of seconds, she'll just stand still as if she were phasing or something. You can't see which direction she's going for like a second or something like that. If you don't know, when you're in a chase in Dead by Daylight, every 10th of a second counts. You know, basically because a 10th of a second is the difference between getting a hit and not getting a hit, getting it down and not getting it down. So one of Spirit's weaknesses is supposed to be that she's 110% movement speed, but with the addition of passive phasing, which can be amplified through add-ons, it, in a way, basically it makes her, not basically, it does make her faster than 110%, because it allows her to get more distance than she would be able to without passive phasing. So I won't say that it basically makes her 115%, but it damn near does. I'm not quite sure on the math on it or whatever. It depends on the add-ons, but short loops, she doesn't even have to use her power because of passive phasing. And it just gives her free distance for no reason. So yeah, very bad design choice in my opinion. Just imagine if other killers had that. Yeah, it's just kind of bullshit. That coupled with red glow mind game, you can just come around a corner and you just gain as much distance as if you were 115%. But anyways, you know, I think I'll leave it at that for Spirit. second best killer in the game, in my opinion. So next up, which some people might disagree with, but out of the 11 killers that I have on this list, is number 3. I have Plague. And some people, you know, might disagree with me. Some people might not understand why. Plague is obviously, in my opinion, slept on massively. So what makes Plague good? What's her weaknesses? What's the deal with Plague? So Plague, the way I see it, Plague is just basically a mix between Legion and Huntress in a way. She has 2 powers. She has her green vomit and her red vomit. So she like throws up on the survivors or whatever. The green vomit is basically what makes her like Legion. So you infect the survivor with the green vomit, and as time goes on, they will become broken. They will get the broken status effect, which means they can't heal unless they cleanse, right? So they have to go over to a pool, right? Same as like pigs' head traps or whatever, and they have to cleanse. If they choose to cleanse, they will give Plague her power, which is the Corrupt Purge, the red vomit, which it basically makes her, because Plague is 115% movement speed, it basically makes her a stronger version of Huntress. It gives the Corrupt Purge, the red vomit, is one of the strongest chase powers in the game. I think it lasts 60 seconds. You know, you can literally cause so much damage with it. You can what makes it so devastating is, you know, it's 60 seconds. You don't have to reload or anything. You could just chew through hell states like crazy. But more than anything, you can shoot over loops. You can vomit over loops. Damn near every loop in the game becomes unsafe, especially with Bamboozle. Very, very, very oppressive stuff. Even over jungle gyms, she can literally down people by vomiting over jungle gyms. You know, rock loops are the fucking bane of existence for Deathslinger and Huntress, not for Plague. For Plague, they're actually really strong. You can just vomit over it if you know what you're doing. And you know what? If she spawns with one of those by default. So if the survivors choose not to cleanse to give the Plague her power, she can potentially just use her power at the right time, and then she has the Corrupt Purge for 60 seconds, which is one of the strongest in the game, in my opinion, one of the strongest chase abilities. And then everyone has 1 health state, so she can just end the game right there potentially. Very powerful. So what if the survivors choose not to cleanse, right? Because she can have up to like 5 red pools, which is the equivalent of 5 minutes of having this chase power. 5 minutes at a highest, since you know I am talking about the highest level, max potential of this killer versus like very smart survivors, high level survivors. You know what? I feel like I lost my train of thought a little bit, but what happens if they don't cleanse, right? If they don't want to cleanse to give the Plague her power. Oh yeah, I was saying about the 5 minutes. You know, that's a lot. That's a long time. You know, like a high level game is gonna last less than 10 minutes. So just having all that time of having that strong power, especially with like stealth, if you like use Tinker or something like that, or Monitor, yeah, it's very very powerful. Not to mention snowball potential and slugging potential, really good, because since you can just chew through hell states crazy. Even better than Huntress because you don't have to reload. Very powerful stuff. Killers need snowball and slugging potential to be good, in my opinion, unless they have like super strong chase, such as Spirit and Nurse, but pretty much everyone else needs some form of snowball potential, because versus 4 good survivors, versus, you know, in high level games, you're not going to be able to get multiple hooks. Well, when I say multiple, you're not going to be able to get high number of hooks. You know, you're going to have to rely on slugging to slow the game down. If you have the opportunity to end the game by 4-man slugging, then you better do it, because you give good survivors an inch and they take a mile. You know what I mean? I don't know if I said that right, that saying or whatever, but you know what I mean. So crazy potential. She is slightly RNG dependent, but I'm not really I'm talking about like best case scenario here, you know what I mean? So yeah. Oh, and also so what I was gonna say is that if they choose to not heal, that's okay, or not cleanse, I mean, because Plague with her green vomit counters, in my opinion, what is the strongest survivor item, which is the medkit. They can't heal because they'll be broken. So that's a huge deal, because 1 medkit can lose you the game as killer. 4 medkits even more so, especially 4 good ones. So countering the strongest survivor item, and also countering, which is in my opinion the strongest survivor perk in the game after the DS nerf, which is Iron Will. You know, I could talk about that forever, but so just by her basic ability with the green vomit, she counters 2 of the strongest things that survivors can utilize in the game. So yeah, Plague. I guess I can leave it at that. I don't know if I said this already, because just like I said, this is like my 3rd time trying to do this, but if you agree or disagree or want to add something, just let me know in the comments. I'm all for the convo. So Plague at number 3. Next up at number 4, I got Bubba Leatherface Cannibal, my boy, an extremely strong killer. Very fun killer to play. And I'd say one of the more balanced killers in terms of not only game balance and strength, but fun, you know, fun-wise. So why do I have Bubba number 4? What's he good at? What's he bad at? His strength, similar to Spirit, is basically just chase. He has no stealth. He has a 32-meter tear radius. He doesn't have like map pressure or mobility. His chainsaw is just his only power, his only strength, and you know, obviously his instant down from his chainsaw. That's what makes Bubba good. You know, I will admit that he is one of those killers. I mean, every killer needs perks. Every killer needs perks. Bubba needs, you know, since we are talking about highest level play and everything, he needs Bamboozle. By the way, I don't know if I said this, but sorry if the audio is kind of shitty. Kind of have a shitty headset, but hopefully y'all can hear me okay. And my bad if I repeated that. Man, I've tried doing this so many times now. But anyways, so yeah, Bubba needs Bamboozle to have a chance. And Bamboozle, Bubba is one of the strongest, most oppressive chase killer perk combos in this game. You can get rid of Shaq in 10 seconds, Jungle Gyms in 10 seconds, Cow Tree. You know, it does not leave survivors with many options. His chainsaw is super powerful, super lethal. You can't greed against it. what makes Bubba so good is that you either gotta give up the pallet or you gotta either give up the pallet or you're gonna go down. Simple as that. Super strong chase. And then what else? Another thing that makes him strong is just, thanks to his chainsaw, he is able to effectively force hook states, aka camp. I don't really like calling camping, but it is what it is. Camping is just part of the game at the highest level because this game is balanced around casual players who don't know very much and who aren't very competitive. It's just a reality of the game. Tunneling is meta, camping is meta, and Bubba is good at camping. And that is very important at the highest level because, good survivors, they do not give a fuck. They will go down and trade with someone just so they won't lose a hook state. That being said, that actually goes on to another point. He actually counters, same way that Plague counters Iron Will and medkits, Bubba counters exhaustion perks and borrowed time, which is another two of the strongest things that survivors can possibly use. So I think you see the trend. Good killers just take away from survivors. They counter things that survivors can do. They take away. They leave them with less options. They counter what they can use. And and this is base kit, by the way. Bubba can literally with his chainsaw, down the person, the rescuer, unhooking the person on the hook, down that person, hit the person that came off the hook with borrowed time, and still have enough left in the chainsaw to go and down that person, hit them a second time. Super powerful stuff. Same thing with exhaustion. And both of these, are considering that you have the timing down. It's not exactly easy to do, but it is possible. And I am, just like I said, we're looking at the potential of the killer. With base kit, with his 3 charges, and with his 135% movement speed with the chainsaw or whatever it is, he can use his chainsaw to make up the distance that survivors get from exhaustion perks. So very powerful stuff, and forcing hook states, forcing the survivors to drop pallets, countering BT and exhaustion, and just having a really strong chase power. You can't greed against it. Super powerful stuff, man. But yeah, I think that's it for Bubba. He could snowball pretty well. He could slug pretty well because he has an insta down. So I think that's it for Bubba. Bamboozle Bubba, fucking love it. But anyways, so next killer I'm gonna talk about is Oni, and I think this is number 5 now. So I put Oni at number 5. I do want to preface that out of all the killers on this list, I believe that Oni is my weakest. His skill ceiling is extremely high. He's a very, very difficult killer to master, both in game sense wise, knowing, where did these survivors heal, and whatnot, or how many people are over there, where are they, but also just mechanically, very high skill cap, So why do I have Bubba at, not Bubba, Oni? Why do I have Oni at number 5? Well, first off, I guess we could talk about, or I guess we could start by saying that Oni, with maybe the exception of Myers, has the weakest early game out of any killer. Oni starts out at 115% movement speed, M1 killer, 32 meters tear radius. Absolutely nothing to work with. He is a snowball killer. He is a slugging killer. He has the potential with his power, with Blood Fury. He can end the game potentially with one use of his power. That's what makes him number 5. However, the problem is getting his power, and normally, normal games, average games, not much of a problem. However, since I am talking about highest level play, I'm talking about 4 strong, knowledgeable survivors. Good survivors know that the difference between winning or losing versus an Oni is how fast he gets his first, his power for the first time. Basically, Oni games, high level Oni games, kind of go very similar, every single time. Oni spawns in, and basically, every survivor, you know, if they're doing the right thing, which they are in this scenario because they're all good, survivors will do whatever they have to do to not let you get your power, not let you get that first hit, not let you start collecting blood. It doesn't matter what pallets they have to drop. It doesn't matter if it's Shack, if it's Jungle Gyms, Cow Tree, whatever. Good survivors will not let you get that first hit. Once again, just like I said at the beginning of this video, we're talking about most maps here, okay? If you're on a smaller map with, you know, kind of like weaker tiles, you know, like if you're on a shelter woods with like 1 jungle gym, yeah, you're probably gonna have a okay time. But the reality of the game is that most maps, most of them, have like at least 4 very strong loops. So you're gonna have to deal with, like, you know, 3 jungle gyms, Shack, Cow Tree on farm, you know, and you can have up to 4 jungle gyms and Shack and Cow Tree, whatever, right? You know, super strong, unmined gameable filler pallets, etc. Very strong areas, filler pallets in the TLs, filler pallets in the pallet gyms, etc. Whatever. Good survivors will not let you get that first hit. They'll drop, it doesn't matter how strong the pallet is, they will drop it if they have to stop you from getting your power. That's just the way it is. High level Oni games, by the time you get your first power, there's gonna be 2, 3, maybe even 4 gens done by the time you get your first power. That's just how it is. However, as you might imagine, even with that very apparent and very huge weakness, comes, you know, a lot of strength, and that's why I put him at number 5. Just like I said earlier, Oni has the capability, has the power, base kit, by the way, to potentially end the game with 1 power use. being able to run as fast as he does. I don't know if it's like 150% or 170%. But just, he can cross the map in a couple seconds with his speed. He can insta down. He can get some crazy angles. And he has that crazy extended lunge, which can insta down. Once again, just same with Plague, one of the strongest chase powers in the game. And since since versus a strong team, you're not going to be able to get 12 hooks, you're not going to be able to get 10, you're probably not even going to be able to get 8, especially as Oni. Shit, as Oni, you're not even going to get 6. He makes up for it by being able to slug all 4 people in 40 seconds. He needs infectious. It's not a maybe. He needs it. Versus good players. But I have him at number 5 because his power is just so damn strong. I just can't. I feel you just can't underestimate it. You know what I mean? And worst case scenario, you'll only be able to use your power once or something. If we're talking like tournament level or something. But if you're able to use it 2 or 3 times, that's even more my point. That's a lot of time relatively that you can use a power that strong. You know what I mean? And I'm not considering top knot. I'm not talking about top knot. I'm actually talking about him base K. I don't think I've ever used add-ons on him. But even lower rarity add-ons will only will only make him more powerful. So oh yeah, and also he forces heals because you have to heal against him. That's always a plus. I always think any killer that forces heals, I think that's good because it gets survivors off of gens. So that's always a plus. Let me see if I have anything else that I want to say. No, I think that's it. But yeah, I think forcing heals, I think that shouldn't be slept on. I think that's one of the I think that's something that people don't really talk about when killers force survivors to heal. It's pretty valuable. But anyway, so yeah, I'll leave it at that for Oni. Obviously, it depends on the map. I don't know why I said that like that. Wow. But it depends on the map. It depends, how many medkits are there. Does someone have fucking botany and desperate and will make it? That'll fuck your game up. But yeah, overall I'll put him at number 5. Yeah, I think that's number 5. So anyways, next up, who I wanted to put higher up, but I didn't allow myself to because I am biased towards this killer. My current main for a while now, my boy Doctor Herman Carter, my dog. Very strong killer. At least versus average players. But we're not talking about average players. We're talking about for above average players, and that's why I have him in the second half of the list, down here at number 6. So once again, what makes him good, what makes him bad, why is he number 6, why is he lower than Bubba, Oni, and Plague, why do I have him above the rest of the killers on my list? Well, just like any killer, he has strengths and weaknesses. Don't know where I really want to start. I guess I could start with just information. Early game. Unlike Oni, he has one of the strongest early games. one of the strongest and most early game potential with his static blast, which just makes every survivor in the tear radius scream and makes them gain madness. So his shock also makes them gain madness, so his shock and his blast. When a survivor gets to madness 3, they have to snap out of the madness, and it'll take them from madness 3 to madness 1. So that's kind of like built-in slowdown right there. If each survivor has to snap out of it 2 or 3 times a match, you know, how many seconds of that is, you know, how many seconds of slowdown is that? I think it's definitely worth mentioning, you know. And when they're in madness 3, they can't do gens and they can't heal. The only things they can do is just unhook and just drop pallets and vault, if I'm not mistaken. So built-in slowdown, strong early game because the shock allows him to get in a chase almost immediately, especially if he has whispers. So yeah, and also, you know, since at the highest level, you know, it's super important to try to prioritize certain survivors to try to get them out of the game, to have a chance, a better chance of winning. That information also helps with targeting certain survivors, which helps also with add-ons, with the aura reading add-ons. So yeah, good early game. Extremely good anti-loop. I don't know why I said anti-loop. He has a very strong anti-loop. If you're at a tile with the doctor, you know, good players, they'll make you work a little bit for it, but there's only so much they could do. You know, if you're at a tile with a doctor, it doesn't matter if it's Shack, it doesn't matter if it's Jungle Gym. If there's nothing nearby, you're either gonna drop the pallet or you're gonna get hit. Simple as that. I actually had Doctor yesterday. I had him at the number 4 spot. I didn't put too much thought into this list, but I think I put a good amount into it, like as much as I could. I could not put Doctor over Bubba as much as I wanted to. I just can't, because at the end of the day, Doctor, his weakness is, believe it or not, is lethality. And you know, most people, they'll hear that and they're like, what, like Doctor needs lethality? And as a Doctor main, but as just a not knowledgeable player in general, I will tell you that, and this is just my opinion, of course, but versus good players, if you're in a high level skilled game, you're going to need you're going to have to resort and dedicate a perk slot to lethality, whether it be save best for last, whether it be devour. Everything else is kind of trash, but it basically, you know, I recommend one of those two. Can't really think of any other. Brutal maybe, I guess. Kind of a weaker choice in my opinion, but he needs lethality because he does not have an insta down. And yes, he doesn't need bamboozle because he can stop every pallet from being used. He can stop every window from getting used. But at the end of the day, he has to hit twice, and holding forward, and also with him not having stealth, unless he uses Tinker or something, holding forward and not having an instant down is just what kills him. You know what I mean? Not to mention, when it comes to good survivors, especially really good survivors, strong loopers, smart, high IQ, experienced chase survivors that are good in chase, you cannot, I repeat, cannot chase a survivor in a strong position. You just can't, because yes, if you're at a tile, you can even a strong one, you can dominate as doctor, because there's only, you know, two options. It's usually like a pallet or a window, such as in a jungle gym or shack. But the second that you add a tile anywhere near that loop, doctor's strength just basically becomes his weakness, because you just can't keep chasing that, because you're gonna be hurting yourself. It's just gonna be too much time. Your best bet is to just maybe chase him for like 10-15 seconds, try to get a hit. If you could get a hit and you got maybe like 8 stacks to save best for last, maybe you can make something happen. But just be very, very careful for that, because that is the reason why I have him at number 6. Oh yeah, and also, you know, as good as his anti-loop is, another good thing is that gives him an advantage over other killers is being able to protect the hook. When you shock a survivor, they can't do anything for 2.5 seconds. That, coupled with save best for last, which is kind of like a hidden gem when it comes to camping. Man, I hate using the word camping because it just sounds so, but it's just the reality of the game, you know. If you want to 4K, you will have to camp, I promise you. And if you don't have to, then the survivors weren't good enough. But yeah, so weak lethality, weak snowball, because he just can't snowball. No projectile, no range attack, no insta down, no mobility, just good anti-loop, versus at most tiles and most setups. But all you need is just one good setup and, you know, decent communication from survivors and a little bit of bad luck, you know, because I mean that's just how lethality perks are, you know. Save best for last and devour, you know, you have to use those perks to have a chance, because, you know, if you don't, you're not gonna beat that top level team. You need that lethality, but with that lethality comes risk, you know. You keep finding the obsession keeps body blocking, you know, you're losing stacks, they cleanse, devour, whatever. But yeah, so hopefully, you know, hopefully I explained myself pretty well. Hopefully one day Doctor will, you know, just have more to work with, versus when it comes to good players. You know, like I mean, personally, I would definitely love some add-ons that like increase the time to snap out of it. I think that would help a lot. But I think I said everything I needed to say about Doc. You know, probably my favorite killer that I've ever played in this game, or ever got comfortable with. Shame I couldn't put him higher, but yeah, that's still my boy though. Alright. Damn, we're already at like 50 minutes, damn near. And these clips only go to an hour, so I'll probably get like one more killer, and then it'll be like that'll be like part 1 or whatever, I guess. But anyways, so next up, at number 7, I have another controversial one. Controversial as in where I put her, but I have Huntress. And same thing I said with Oni, I'm gonna say with Huntress. Because I am, you know, just like I said, this tier list is considering potential. I never mastered Huntress, because mastering Huntress is not something to be taken lightly. It takes it depends what you call mastering, but to really like be able to reach that level of, reach damn near her top level of potential and be able to play at a max efficiency, it will take thousands of hours, no doubt about it, and that's no exaggeration. Super high skill cap, super fun killer. Well, not for me anymore, at least. I've definitely moved on. I used to main her, but yeah, when it comes to good players, when it comes to top percent, she needs more. Man, like she just similar with Doctor, similar with any killer really, minus maybe like the top 5 in the game. She's pretty lackluster. So Huntress is kind of a unique situation, because as with other killers, her strength is basically entirely just chase. It's just chase. If she if she's right next to a fully healed survivor, she can damn near insta down them by using her hatchet, and then hatchet into basic attack. You guys probably know that. It's like the equivalent of having like 10 stacks of save best for last or some shit. Super fast recovery. So lethality, she's strong in chase. Shaq becomes very, very dangerous. Shaq basically becomes unmind gameable, because if the survivor has an item, because when survivor's animation lock, the item disappears out of their hand. This is just small details like this are what takes Huntress onto the next level. You know what I mean? If you're at a jungle gym or something and they turn the corner, you can preemptively throw a hatchet, and it'll hit them right as they come around the corner. There's a lot, you have to work with, but why do I have her so low? Why do I have her at number 7 out of 11 killers that I have on this list? Well, I think a big reason of it, or a big reason why I have her so low is just her lack of synergy with perks. I think that's a very important thing to consider. She has a 40-meter humming terror radius, so she has no stealth. She has a 12-meter terror radius, so a 12-meter heartbeat, but yet a 40-meter humming radius where you can hear her, right? But at least it's non-directional. But still. That being said, with just those two numbers I just gave you, those two stats, I guess, it basically makes it so that she can't use stealth perks, because the humming will never go away, and it does get louder as she gets closer. And you can't use, when I say you can't, you know what I mean. You can't really use infectious with her, because infectious is based off of terror radius, I believe, right? Yeah. I don't even got. Yeah, I'm like 99% sure. Yeah. That's why Monitor's good with it. But yeah. It's based off of terror radius. So if you down someone, only people in a 12-meter radius are gonna scream. So she can't use infectious, which severely limits her snowball potential, because she can go through hell states really quickly, but not not if she doesn't have infectious. You know what I mean? So she can't use the stealth. and she's 110%, so she moves slower, right? With no mobility, no nothing. You know, you can't use insta-down perks. They're not really favorable for her because, once again, you're 110%, you're tall as fuck, no mobility, no nothing, you know, no anti-loop. It's just, and it doesn't apply to her hatchets, so she has to M1, so she can't really use insta-down perks. So look at all these amazing, you know, perks that could really help her weaknesses, but they just cannot because they just do not synergize with her. Kind of sad. Not to mention strong tiles. Strong tiles, strong against her, I mean, but in general, are really like kind of like the, you know, the Achilles heel to Huntress. Filler pallets that you can't throw over or throw through. Midwich, fucking Autohaven, Macmillan, Yamaoka, Farm. It doesn't matter. There will be half a dozen pallets on the map that have no mind game, that your only play is to hold forward and just get stunned or to break the not stunned, I'm saying hold forward till the survivor drops a pallet. And each one, since you're 110%, and we're considering good survivors cutting it tightly, they're gonna waste you 10-15 seconds, and you will get nothing out of it. Not to mention jungle gyms. Jungle gyms versus good players will be a nightmare, especially if you have 4 of them. It doesn't matter how good you can do at Shack if you still have to deal with 4 jungle gyms in Cowtree. It just doesn't matter. Not to mention that since she is 110% and with her movement speed and everything, versus good players at a jungle gym and at Cowtree, you basically need add-ons. Even at Shack, like, you're gonna need that edge. You're gonna need the 30% faster wind-up time with Babushka and whatever the other one is. You basically need double wind up to be able to be consistent and deadly at that top percent. So we're almost getting at the hour mark here, so I'm about to wrap it up. But so her lack of synergy, it's actually really sad. Huntress, you know, has been around for a long time, and it's just kind of sad that the lack of synergy, it just closes so many doors. It limits her so much. She would really be a force to be reckoned with if she, you know, had more to work with. Not to mention, a lot of times, you know, just like with Bubba and Demo and a lot of other killers and Billy and a million other killers, you're not really forced to heal against her. You know, you can just stay injured with your adrenaline, your iron will, your dead hard, motherfucking sprint burst, your resilience, spine chill. You can stay injured with all that, you'll do just fine. So yeah, that's and holding forward, you know, kind of do the Death Slinger play where you just keep holding forward and just keep a tree in between you guys, or a rock. And she's kind of been shadow nerfed as the years have gone by, with the maps, you know, more trees, more rocks, so that doesn't help as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it that I gotta say for Huntress. You know, definitely a very fun, respectful, pretty balanced, over, like, in the average game, pretty balanced, cool killer, aesthetically, like, amazing. Like, she looks so badass, so cool. She has a cool power, like throwing hatchets and stuff. But you know, a little underwhelming in my opinion. But yeah, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here because I think my time's about to run out. So then next part I will continue with the rest of the list. Appreciate y'all watching. Yes, sir.